Anne's News Video, November. The November edition of Anne's News Video offers you various interesting events from the Salesian world. You will get to know many beautiful initiatives carried out in the field of evangelization with young people, meetings with the entire Salesian family, and many other activities in the different regions. RMG. Visit of the Rector Major to Alassio, Genoa and Varazze. From 3rd to 5th November, the 10th successor of Don Bosco travelled to Liguria to visit the historic work in Alassio and celebrate the 150th anniversary of the Salesian works in Genoa, Sampierdarena and Varazze. Father Angel Fernandez Artime was welcomed by the boys, teachers and educators of the Salesian Center, Santa Maria degli Angeli, with great enthusiasm. Afterwards, the Rector Major went to Genoa, where he met the Latin American community and had an interaction with the young people. The next day, he met the young people of the Salesian Vocational Training Center in Sampierdarena and presided the Mass in the church of San Siro with the school students and families. He also visited Don Bosco's bedroom and inaugurated a football court in the presence of the local authorities. On 5th November, in the city of Varazze, he was welcomed at the Marina d'Italia. This was followed by the official greeting by the city authorities and the Bishop of Savona Noli, Monsignor Calogero Marino, at the municipality of Varazze. The Rector Major concluded this visit by celebrating Mass in the church of Sant Ambrogio in the presence of the local confraternities and gave the blessing to the town from the place where Don Bosco blessed the citizens of Varazze at the time of his last visit there. Don Angel Fernandez Artime visits the United States West Province. From 15th to 21st November, the Rector Major, Father Angel Fernandez Artime, visited the St. Andrew, United States West Province, accompanied by the Counselor for the Inter-America region, Father Hugo Orozco. His first activity was a meeting with the Salesians of the Bellflower community in Los Angeles. The next day, he went to the Salesian house, Bishop Mora, where he met with young people from several Salesian houses of the region. Afterwards, he visited the Don Bosco Technical Institute and presided over the Mass in honor of Saint Artemidizzati for the local Salesian family at the Dominic Savio School in Bellflower. On Friday, 18th November, the Rector Major visited Northern California, where in the afternoon he went to the Don Bosco Hall Center in Berkeley for a meeting with the Salesians. During the last day, he celebrated the Mass of Thanksgiving for 125 years of Salesian presence in the country at the Saints Peter and Paul Church in San Francisco. It was indeed a moment of great celebration for all. The Rector Major visits the United States East Province. The Rector Major visited the Salesian houses of the St. Philip Province of the United States East and Canada and celebrated with them the 75th anniversary of Salesian missions in New Rochelle. The Rector Major's first activity was a visit to the Don Bosco Cristo Rey, a school co-owned by the Salesians and the Archdiocese of Washington, which has been in operation for 15 years and is directed by the Sons of Don Bosco. And the next day, he spent getting to know the school and the young people who frequented it. He also had a meeting with the Provincial Council, followed by a mass with members of the Salesian family. On his penultimate day of the visit, the Rector Major celebrated the traditional Thanksgiving Day with the Salesians at the Ramsay Center, reserving the afternoon for talks and discussions. On the last day, he met the Salesians in initial formation and their formators. It was a visit full of joy and celebration. Africa, Madagascar. Nigeria. The first Salesian Youth Movement Congress and 40 years of Salesian presence in Nigeria. The first Congress of the Salesian Youth Movement of the Africa, Nigeria, Niger province was held from 10th to the 13th of November. The theme of the Congress was As Leaven in Today's Human Family, the lay dimension in Don Bosco's family, and it coincided with the celebration of 40 years of Salesian presence in Nigeria. The event began on 10th November with the arrival of the participants and the inaugural Mass in the presence of Salesians, young people and lay collaborators. The following day, 11th November, the activities began, divided into 3 sessions. The first was on mental well-being in young people. The second focused on 40 years of Salesian presence in Nigeria. The third and final session dealt with the theme of the Congress. 12th November was mainly dedicated to recreational and sports activities, while on the last day, 13th, the Mass was celebrated by Bishop Jude Ayodeji Aragundade, Bishop of Ondo, which gave a finale for the Congress. South Africa, Provincial Chapter of the South Africa Vice Province. The Vice Province of South Africa held its 12th Provincial Chapter from 14th to 17th November. On the liturgical feast dedicated to Saint Artemidizati, the Archbishop of Johannesburg, Monsignor Buti Joseph Plakagale, presided over the inaugural Mass, concelebrated by Father Alphonse Owudu, Counselor for the Africa-Madagascar region. During the working days, the 15 capitulars reflected on the theme, What Kind of Salesians for the Youth of Today, and on the orientations of General Chapter 28. The invited members, 17 in all, included representatives of the Parish Pastoral Council, Missionary Sisters of Mary Help of Christians, FMA, Salesian Cooperators, and the youth of the Salesian Youth Movement. It was a good opportunity for sharing and reflection. America, South Cone. Argentina, the musical Zati's WhatsApp. An artistic project that came about following the canonization of Artemide Zati, and the joy of being able to celebrate it sparkled a great movement of joy and enthusiasm among young people in Argentina. The Salesians of Tucumán, Germandise and Mariano Brezan, with their pastoral team, thus launched an initiative to present the figure of Brother Zati as a new Italo-Argentine saint, and it was finally decided to produce a theatrical performance with significant content suited to today's youth culture. The aim was to convey a part of Brother Zati's life through some of his particular ties and the way he communicated with them, imagining him through a modern smartphone. From an artistic point of view, it was not intended to be strictly a musical, but at the same time, it was decided to entertain the audience with songs performed by the show's youth choir called Hijos de Don Bosco. It was a beautiful presentation indeed.
Hola, Don Zati. Buenas noches. Estamos en mi casa, pero tenemos un problema. Mi abuela está muy enferma.
Brazil. Provincial Assembly of the Salesian Mission in Mato Grosso. On 11th November, the courtyard of the Salesian Institute Santo Antonio in Cuiabá welcomed around 400 people, students, teachers, employees and Salesians gathered for the closing mass of the assembly and the provincial celebration of the Salesian Mission of Mato Grosso of the province of Brazil Campo Grande. At the end of the celebration, to commemorate the 125th anniversary of the Salesian presence on the site where the Santo Antonio Institute now stands, each Salesian present placed a rose at the feet of the statue of Mary Help of Christians, leading a procession of students who repeated the gesture until a total of 125 roses were handed out as a sign of gratitude. Brazil, Fest Nordeste. More than 700 young people from the dozens of works of the Salesians of Don Bosco and the Daughters of Mary Help of Christians from all over northeast Brazil gathered from 25th to 27th November at the Salesian School of the Sacred Heart in Recife to experience the Salesian Youth Festival together. Spirituality, music, dance, theater, sports activities, and moments of conviviality. On 26th November, a Mass was celebrated in honor of Saint Artemide Zati, presided over by Father Francisco Ignacio, Superior of the province of Brazil, Recife. On the last day, however, space was given to the talents of the young people who performed in theatrical performances and choreographies.
No silêncio tu estás. Eu te busco toda hora, te procuro toda hora, espero em ti, revela-te a mim.
Chile. Thanksgiving for 125 years of presence in the region. With a celebration held in the city's cathedral, the members of the pastoral educational community of the Don Bosco College in Iquique gave thanks to God for 125 years of Salesian activity in the Tarapacá region. The celebration was presided over by the Bishop of Iquique, Bishop Isauro Covilli, and concelebrated by the Salesian Provincial of Chile, Father Carlo Lira. The activity was attended by educators, members of the Coordination Council, parents, students, pastoral groups and authorities. It was also an opportunity to thank the Salesians accompanied by the laity, who have carried out so many beautiful works in the region. East Asia, Oceania. Thailand, joint meeting, social communication and training. From the 7th to the 10th November, at the retreat house in Hua Hin, Thailand, the joint meeting of the delegates for social communication and the delegates for formation of the region of East Asia, Oceania took place in the presence of Father Ivo Coelho, General Councillor for Formation, Father Gildacio Mendes, General Councillor for Social Communication, and Father Joseph Phuoc, Regional Councillor for East Asia Oceania, and Father John Bosco Deparat, the Provincial of Thailand. About 37 members of the region, coming from the 8 provinces, the 4 vice provinces, and the 4 provincial delegations, took part in this meeting. After the opening session, both groups gave their respective presentations, discussions and sharing with their general councillors, while the third day was entirely dedicated to reflection and joint discernment on the theme, the formation of Salesians in the digital age. The fraternal atmosphere, warm hospitality and lush surroundings enthused all participants and created a favorable climate for the joint meeting. Papua New Guinea. 300 young people for Mary. Do everything with love, nothing by force, was the theme of the great event, 300 Young People for Mary, organized by the Mary Help of Christians Association, Youth Group, and held on the 5th and 6th of November at the Don Bosco Technical Institute in Boroko, Papua New Guinea. So many young people gathered in attendance after the 2-year stop due to the pandemic. During the 2 days, many themes were addressed, from the model of holiness offered by Saint Francis de Sales to the daily challenges of families, from the importance of placing God at the center of all our relationships to the need to teach young people a responsible and constructive use of social networks. Hong Kong, Salesian Coadjutor Day. The Mary Help of Christians province based in Hong Kong organized the annual Salesian Coadjutor Day on 12th November, which was attended by Bishop Stephen Chow Sao Yan, Bishop of Hong Kong, in order to highlight the figure of Saint Artemidisati. The day was attended not only by Salesian coadjutors but also by other Salesians, all of whom were invited to participate as a community in the Eucharistic celebration presided over by Monsignor Chow Sao Yang in commemoration of Saint Artemidisati. After lunch, a pilgrimage was made to the recently restored Church of St. James. South Asia, India. Vicar General visits Bangalore. From 12th to 18th November, Father Stefano Martoglio, Vicar of the Rector Major, began his visit to the Salesian province of Bangalore. After the solemn welcome, he visited Don Bosco Aluva, the province's philosophical house, and the Mama Margaret home for the elderly. He was accompanied by the provincial, Father Jose Koikal. The evening ended with a meeting all the brothers from the Kerala region of the province and a Salesian goodnight offered by Father Martoglio. The following day, the vicar of the Rector Major visited the Don Bosco Sneha Bhavan Pallurthi work, where he participated in the Children's Day celebrations and in the afternoon met the Salesian family for the moment of interaction and dialogue. India. Biennial National Educational Conference of Don Bosco Schools. The 6th Biennial National Educational Conference of Salesian Schools was held in Vadodara, India from 16th to 19th November 2022. The Vicar of the Rector Major, in his address to the Assembly in digital mode, thanked all the educators gathered for their contribution in the pastoral care of young people and reminded them of the importance of the Christian development of young people in fidelity to the spirit and charism of Don Bosco. In the various sessions of the conference, many experts in the field enlivened the participants with their contributions and interventions. The typically Salesian atmosphere and cultural performances by the students of the various schools of the Bangalore host province made the event even more enjoyable for all participants. India, Chennai, Don Stefano Martoglio's visit. The province of St. Thomas the Apostle in India, Chennai, had the opportunity to welcome the Vicar of the Rector Major, Father Stefano Martoglio, on a visit from 18th to the 24th of November. During the 6 days, the Vicar of the Rector Major was able to have first-hand knowledge of the 19 of the 51 communities in the province, meeting the Salesians of these areas and the young people who attend Salesian institutions. During these days of animation, the Rector Major's Vicar animated the directors and leaders of the communities, the Provincial Council, the Commission for Religious Discipline and the Formation Commission. He visited the 2 formation communities, the Novitiate and the Theological Studentate, addressing the formees and the formators separately, and did the same in the 3 aspirantates. In all communities, he was welcomed with cordiality and the typical artistic and cultural manifestations. North Central Europe. Ukraine. Salesian school children pray for peace. Every year, on the feast of All Saints' Day, the Salesian school at Vesevit introduces students to the lives of the saints. This year, local priests were invited to focus the day on the Sermon on the Mount, adapting it to the children with an open dialogue to their questions. A moment of prayer for peace in Ukraine through the intercession of all the saints was also celebrated. Then, gifts collected by the school families were distributed to the needy. It was indeed a real invitation to the whole Salesian family to continue to support our Ukraine brothers and sisters at this very difficult time. France, 11th edition of Weekend Don Bosco Youth and Families. On All Saints' Day, the 11th edition of the Weekend Don Bosco Youth and Families gathering took place. The event brought together 246 participants, and for most of them it was their first experience. The day was an opportunity for reunion, spirituality and fun. Father Sebastian Roberts, the economer of the St. Francis de Sales province of France and South Belgium, took part in it. Two young people from the musical group Holy shared their worldview and their way of living their faith. In addition, the day was enriched by an interactive show entitled The Little Girl Who Wanted to Save the World, an invitation to become aware of our capabilities. This edition of the Don Bosco Weekend Youth and Families brought much joy and a spirit of unity to all participants. Great Britain, celebrating 70 years of Salesian presence. The Salesians in formation of Great Britain gathered from 4th to 6th November at the Salesian Retreat House, Saviour House in Bollington for an event focusing on the theme Salesians as Digital Citizens using Social Media and Communications. Father Francis Preston, delegate of formation, led the meeting with support from Father Hugh Preston and Father Martin Paulson. The same days also saw the celebration of 70 years of Salesian presence in Bollington, during which a new multipurpose area, including a football pitch, was inaugurated. Every year, Saviour House welcomes hundreds of young people and hosts an international residential team of young animators who live alongside the Salesian community and carry out Don Bosco's mission of serving other young people. Inter-America, Mexico, Campo Bosco 2022. Hundreds of young people aged between 8 and 11 took part in the Campo Juanitos 2022 event on 19th and 20th November, held at the Salesian Spirituality Center, Casa del Hombre Nuevo in Tlazala. The theme of the event, Living Like Don Bosco in Joy, was organized by the youth pastoral team of the Salesian province of Mexico City and was coordinated by Father Hugo Herrera Rosales, provincial youth pastoral delegate. They were days characterized by joy and a sense of fraternity lived in the midst of nature. The young participants were divided into groups and assisted by animators from the Salesian youth movement, and it was filled with games, reflections, meetings, and other fun activities. Ecuador, provincial chapter of Salesians in Ecuador. Salesians, consecrated and lay people with and for the youth of today and tomorrow was the theme of the provincial chapter of the Salesians of Ecuador held from 14th to 18th November. The work was led by the moderator, by Father Juan Flores. The chapter was attended by 66 participants, including Salesians, representatives of the Salesian family, lay people, and invited young people who contributed to the construction of the proposals. The meeting was lived in an atmosphere of prayer, reflection, and sincere discernment for new ways to respond to the needs of the beneficiaries. Mexico, Guadalajara Salesian Provincial Chapter. From 13th to 18th November, the provincial chapter of the Salesian province of Mexico, Guadalajara was held at the Betsaida House in Amatitan in the state of Jalisco. The chapter assembly was attended by 52 Salesians and 12 lay men and women invited by the provincial Father Filiberto Gonzalez, the president of the chapter assembly. The moderator of the provincial chapter was Father Sergio de la Cruz. In addition to the evaluation of the implementation of the 28th General Chapter and the revision and amendment of the provincial directory, the chapter work focused on 4 topics of provincial interest: vocation animation, Salesians and lay people, management of works, sustainability of works, pastoral care, and inclusive education. Mediterranean. Italy, Savio Club at Colle Don Bosco. Around 700 young people took part in the Savio Club at Colle Don Bosco between Saturday 5th and Sunday 6th of November. 2 precious days of joy, games and reflection, together with the animators, the Salesians and the Daughters of Mary Help of Christians, who organized the various activities, and the leaders of the Salesian houses and oratories. The first and second grade boys reflected on the theme of joy and cheerfulness as one of the ingredients of holiness offered by Don Bosco, while the third grade boys tackled the theme of relationships in the family with the help of some testimonies. Finally, thanks to the possibility of confessions during the day, the boys experienced what it means to live a festive day with a free heart. Italy. 200 young people attended the Salesian Youth Movement Day in Valdocco. About 200 high school boys gathered in the Valdocco Oratory for the Salesian Youth Movement Day. It was an occasion desired by the boys to get together with other young people from their home, but also to meet other peers they met in the previous summer camps and beyond. The special guest of this edition was the Paralympic champion in the 100 meters freestyle, Antonio Fantine, who shared his testimony and extended his good wishes to all in the Teatro Grande, Valdocco, and then devoted some time to those who wished to ask him questions and curiosity. The day continued with joy, games, dances, and time for confessions divided by age group, which concluded with the celebration of the Mass all together. All this was organized by the animators who, with dedication, managed to give the young people a beautiful and value-filled day. Syria. Youth meeting at Don Bosco Al Kafroun. On 18th and 19th November, the Salesian Don Bosco Oratory in Kafroun held a meeting for young people from high schools and universities focusing on the figure of Saint Artemidesati. The aim of the meeting was to define the guidelines of life, the need to dedicate one's life to God as a religious or layperson, so that actions are carried out for the glory of God and the common good. The event included games, sharing of experiences, prayer, and moments of personal encounter with Jesus in an atmosphere of harmony among the young people. The activity was organized and accompanied by lay people from the Don Bosco Center in Kafroun and the Salesians. The November issue of Ant's News Video ends here. We also invite you to spread these good works and good news. We thank you for following our Ant's News Video Bulletin once again and hope to see you in the next edition. Thank you.